Hey guys, it's Mike with another Guild Guardians highlight video. Today we're taking a look at Herne, or Herne. I'm going with Herne. So this is really exciting news actually. I finally got my brother involved in the marketplace. So he's been a free-to-play player the entire time, has never spent anything on the game. He did earn some GOG tokens, and with the GOG tokens he found Herne available on the Token Trove and picked him up for I think right around $5, which is what he earned in GOG tokens. So this is a character that he's letting me borrow so I can do a highlight video, and then I'm going to transfer this character to him so that he can have him on his account. He did get the warrior version, so that was kind of exciting as well. But this is a limited time character that launched with Tamamo, and as far as I'm aware, there's no really other way to get him in the game right now other than to purchase him, because we had the opportunity to get him when we were going for Tamamo. So it's kind of a collectible, pretty fun champion, and he is a tank. So he's a Terra Guardian Strength Keeper tank. So he could be pretty good with the event that's going on right now. It seems the Terra Guardians have an advantage in that full house event. But otherwise, we'll take a peek at his kit and see what he's doing. We did get him outfitted to level 100. His overall power ranking is 640,000, so it's kind of right where we want it to be. If we jump over and take a peek at his skills, his ultimate ability is an AoE. It's Incarnation. And passively, the further he is, the more damage reduction he has with a maximum of 70% reduction. But the active skill is he becomes bigger and immune to knock up and knock back. And basic attacks deal 150% of attack as area damage, and we're up to 210%. So this sounds like it's probably going to be kind of an area AoE ability. So if it's in a congested area, it'll hit everybody. But if the enemy is spread out, it might just hit the ones that are close to him. His next ability is Elk Spirit. It's a crowd control. He summons a deer that charges forward. Enemies dealing 200% of attack as physical damage and causing knockback. So this probably is going to be similar to Tala's Dragon or Tuskrog's Wolves, something like that. But it will cause knockback instead of stun. So that'll be a pretty good crowd control piece there. Could be something to move him with Atticus, who puts the bombs behind champions, and then his knockback could knock everybody into those bombs. So that could be kind of a cool way of utilizing those two champions together. And then his passive is Divine Tree. When he's hit by a melee attack, he has a 10% chance to stun the attacker for 3 seconds, and then that chance moves up. So if he's up in the front tanking it up like he's supposed to, every time he gets hit with a basic or a melee attack, he has a % chance of actually placing a 3-second stun on that champion. So he's doing quite a bit of crowd control potentially. So that's pretty exciting. The gear we got him outfitted in, he is a tank, so ideally we'd have him in defense or HP boots. We got the HP there, HP on the chest there, and then we don't have any crit rate on the helmet. Do have some crit rate on the weapon there, so it would help him with his attack. But this is my gear that I took right off of my Tuskrog. But we'll go ahead and throw him into the Great Forge and see how he does. Alright, so we are on into that first room here. One thing to keep in mind, he is a Terra Guardian, so he is negative affinity for this room. But I don't think he's going to have a problem getting through it. But I'm anxious to see, we take it off 2 times here, his abilities come in. So there's his deer charging through there causing knockback, and it did hit quite a few people. And then his other AoE ability hit all the people up on him. In the next room we have the rangers in the back, so we'll get a better chance to see if his AoE ability hits everybody or if it's just the folks close to him, because these 3 people will charge up at him. These 2 guys stay back here, and we'll see if his ability gets to them or not. So he's kind of coming up here doing some basic attacks. I'm trying to see if any stuns come in. So his charging gear came through and knocked some folks back. I'm not seeing any stuns come in, although he does have a % chance. So he gets bigger and he's doing area damage. So you can see the range on his area damage is just right in this area, so it won't affect them. But the deer charging through, this Elk Spirit, will come back and hit these guys. And then he's actually, once he's bigger, it looks like he's just stays bigger until he runs his next ability, so he just is more powerful while he's in that enhanced mode. But he was basically bigger the entire time until he ran his ability again, so that's kind of interesting. Alright, so we're on into that third and final room here. I have not seen any stuns taken from melee attacks, so it seems it kind of gets really congested in here, so it'd be kind of hard to see it. But I would like to see that work more effectively. I think we're only at 20%, so if you get him upgraded a few more times, it gets up to 30%, probably a little more likely. So here he's doing the area damage, so as he's attacking, all these guys are seeing ticks of health come off. So that's actually kind of cool that he stays big and does area damage, especially as a tank up there. He's just constantly just having people surrounding him. He's not in any danger at all of dying. He doesn't have any healing in his kit, so he accumulated all the damage he's going to accumulate. So having a healer on top of that could be a really big win. But he seems to be a pretty strong tank. I don't think the stun was quite as effective as I was hoping it would be. But the knockback ability and so forth, I think he does a pretty good job. So if we jump out into the token trove, we got Herne here. The standard Herne is about $3.20. Currently for the warrior Herne, you're right around $5 here, which is what my brother picked up with his GOG token. So that's kind of a cool investment to hold on to. And there's not that many of them in the game, and theoretically they're not going to get any more. People will start using these to upgrade other Hernes, so there'll probably be less and less of them over time. Might increase his value quite a bit, but he is kind of a cool champion. If we scroll down here, we got his elite versions up at $15. There is looks like 5 champion versions of them in the game, up to $145 for the champion versions. This one's upgraded to 7, Radiance 4 for $250. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. But those champions are going to be pretty collectible, I think, later on if this game turns into what we think it will. So that's kind of fun. But final thoughts on Herne. I think he seems to be a pretty solid tank. Does move through the waves pretty quick, so I think he does pretty good damage. I do like aspects of his kit, although I wish those stuns were a little more effective. And by maxing him out, you will get an extra 10% on those stuns on the passive, because it'll go up to a 30% chance. Now, it is only during melee attacks, so ranged attacks from the back will not have the opportunity to stun. It'll just be those people right up front with him doing those melee attacks. But theoretically, 30%, that's almost 1 out of 3 hits is going to stun some folks. So if you have 3 guys hitting him, 1 person should get stunned almost every time. I don't know that I saw it happen, although some of the graphics are really hard to see, especially when it gets super congested in there. But I do think that is a really cool skill. And then this Elk Spirit works out pretty good, does quite a bit of damage. And then I really like that when he goes into the big mode, he stays that way and does area damage basically for the rest of the battle, which is, I think, pretty good, because he's going to start hitting everybody, and that helped him get through the waves a little bit quicker. Being negative affinity, he didn't struggle at all. So I'm going to say, like, as far as a tank goes, he's probably going to be up there. I don't think he's better than a Tuskrog. I think Tuskrog is a little more effective with the AoE stun and the AoE damage that he does, and he hits everybody every time. It looks like Herne is probably going to hit a little more like Palmera, where depending on which way he's facing and which way his Elk Spirit's running, it may or may not hit everybody. But it does do some good damage, and then his area AoE damage on his ultimate seems to be pretty effective. But he's a pretty fun champion. I hope my brother has a good time with him. We'll get him moved on over to his account and see what he does. But I appreciate you spending the time with me here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.